A million or more times every year in this country, a teenager comes of legal driving age and seeks his license. Just a scrap of paper, a permit to drive, and sometimes die on our highways. What role does the teenager play in the maelstrom of modern traffic? How you answer that question depends largely on your point of view. Many see him as the victim, tragically unequipped to cope with the power and speed of the automobile. Others see him as the culprit. Bitterly they charge speeding, reckless driving, even manslaughter. But to an ever-growing number of other people, the teenager is the potential hero of a desperate situation. In the skills, judgments, and attitudes these youngsters display at the wheel in years to come may lie the solution to the traffic safety problem. 1 million people have been cut and crushed to death on our highways. And here's a grim prediction. If the present accident rate keeps up, 1 American out of 2 will be killed or injured at some time in his life in an automobile accident. It could be you. One of the most effective answers to the highway safety problem lies in high school driver education. If all our youngsters had these courses, we could, in a generation, put 40 million drivers on our highways who had been trained for safety. Educators agree that a combination of classroom instruction and behind-the-wheel training is the ideal answer. But only 1 high school student out of 3 today receives the benefit of this complete training. Why don't more students receive this training? Let's take a look at an average classroom. Here, the teacher instructs 25 to 35 students at a time. But when he goes out on the road, one teacher can instruct only 4 students at a time, the one who is driving and the 3 who ride as observers. This low teacher-pupil ratio drastically increases the per-pupil cost and makes driver training prohibitively expensive for many schools. Finding an answer to the question of how this cost could be cut and training given to more and more students perplexed many a community. Had the aviation industry pioneered the way toward a possible solution, military and airline pilots today get part of their flight training at a great saving in expense on devices like the Link Trainer and flight simulators, like this one in use at the United Airlines Training Center in Chicago. As flight conditions can be simulated on the ground, why couldn't highway conditions be simulated in the classroom, educators asked. The Aetna Casualty and Surety Company undertook to answer that question and began a series of discussions with school officials. The result was the decision to build the Drivotrainer, a multi-place device designed to reduce costs by enabling one instructor to teach 10 to 15 students at a time. Each of the classroom cars is equipped with most of the instruments and all of the controls found in your car and mine. Students operate these controls to meet situations shown on a motion picture screen at the front of the classroom. At the control cabinet, an automatically printed scorecard gives the teacher a permanent record of the driving actions of all his students. 19 motion pictures for use in the Drivotrainer were planned and produced in close cooperation with a special committee from the New York City Board of Education. In making the Drivotrainer films, a motion picture camera was mounted in an automobile and is used to simulate a driver's eye view of the road. Nothing is more important than that the beginning driver learn the importance of good attitudes. So the Drivotrainer films stress courtesy and consideration for the other fellow at all times. By means of the films, the student driver is given an opportunity to develop practical judgment in typical traffic situations. And without hazard to himself and others, he is taught how to meet common emergency situations. This training, many safety authorities believe, is one of the greatest needs of driver education today. In scores of specially staged scenes like these, designed to build good attitudes and judgment and to teach what to do in emergencies, the Drivotrainer films provide training which a school could not otherwise offer. New York, with its teeming traffic, was the first city chosen by Aetna Casualty for a study installation of the Drivotrainer. Here in William Cullen Bryant High School, a full-size Drivotrainer classroom was set up. Iowa State Teachers College, known for its fine record of training driver education teachers and for its research facilities, was another natural choice for a study installation. The college seeks to measure the effect of the Drivotrainer on high school youngsters from the nearby town of Waterloo. And in the near future expects to offer its own students courses in the use of the Drivotrainer, thus ensuring a supply of teachers trained in the use of this new instructional tool. Los Angeles became the third of the Drivotrainer study sites. Aided by a forward-looking state law which provides financial assistance for driver training, Los Angeles occupies a commanding position in this field. Here is part of the fleet of dual-control cars which enables Los Angeles to offer on-the-road instruction to more students than any other city. By 1958, Los Angeles plans to offer on-the-road training to every one of its eligible students, about 30,000 a year. In view of the magnitude of its program, the Los Angeles school system welcomed the opportunity to study the effect of the Drivotrainer and selected Hollywood High School for an installation. The entire cost of the Drivotrainer development, the preliminary engineering work, the manufacture, the production of the films, and the installation of the 3 research classrooms in New York, Iowa, and Los Angeles, was borne by the Aetna Casualty and Surety Company as part of a public service effort to assist all schools in solving the problem of the high cost of driver training. The Oak Park River Forest High School just outside Chicago became the first to purchase a Drivotrainer. Oak Park follows a unique instructional plan. The school gives Drivotrainer instruction and the parents give on-the-road training in the family car. Here, a group of parents observe a lesson in order to coordinate their instruction with the films. What do they think of the Drivotrainer? Here's Joanne Wolf and her father. Joanne is a graduate of the Drivotrainer course. Let's ask her opinion.
I think it's about the best way to learn to drive there is. It's easy and it's interesting.
C.F. McCall, Jr., whose son also took Drivotrainer instruction, says something of interest to every parent.
Our son Merritt had been driving before he took the course. Since then, he is much more sure of himself. He understands the rules and he follows them. And above all, his attitude toward driving is much better. We do not worry now when he is out with the car. And of course, this means a great deal to us, the parents.
Instructor Ray C. Soliday sums it up this way.
The students like it, the parents like it, and best of all, it works. The aim of driver education is not only to produce skillful drivers, but also to produce safer drivers. Here, we believe we are training drivers who will live and let live.
Out on Long Island, there is another unique use of the Drivotrainer. An 8-place unit called the Autorama Schoolmobile is installed in this trailer and travels from school to school, being used at East Meadow High School and at Freeport High School, where it's used to instruct high school youngsters and adults as well. J. Wesley Southard, the principal of Freeport High School, has this to say of the Drivotrainer.
The Drivotrainer has proved very valuable in the teaching of good attitudes, the basic driving skills, and good road driving judgment. The Drivotrainer has enabled us to cut actual on-the-road training nearly in half, has enabled us to handle double the number of students, but more important, our results have been just as good. My own daughter had the pleasure of taking this first driver education course in Freeport, and as a high school principal and as a parent, I am very pleased with the results.
Commercial driving schools have begun using the Drivotrainer and report that it's helping many adults overcome their fear of learning to drive. A 15-place Drivotrainer was shipped recently to the Adult Education Association of Sweden, and another will shortly be shipped to Thailand. In Oklahoma City, the local Association of Insurance Agents donated a Drivotrainer classroom to the school system. And in Dearborn, Michigan, a similar donation was made at almost exactly the same time. In Oklahoma City, the Drivotrainer is used not only to train high school youngsters, but adults as well. While its use is now limited to beginning adult drivers, Oklahoma City and several other school systems hope ultimately to use the Drivotrainer to improve the abilities and the attitudes of experienced drivers. Pleased with the results of its first year's experience with the Drivotrainer, the Agents Association has donated a second Drivotrainer unit, which will be installed in Capitol Hill High School. The Dearborn Association of Insurance Agents presented a 15-place unit to the Dearborn Board of Education. These public service donations set a precedent, which a number of other agents associations are considering following. Like the Oklahoma City installation, the Drivotrainer in Dearborn's Fortson High School is expected to be the forerunner of others in the city's schools and will be used for adult as well as high school driver education. Dr. Mark F. Scully, superintendent, and George E. Mills, assistant superintendent of schools in Dearborn, study plans for driving ranges and Drivotrainer classrooms in planned and existing high schools. In an attempt to put safer drivers on its busy highways, Michigan has made driver education compulsory in its high schools and has passed a law providing a state subsidy for such instruction. Research being conducted in New York City, Iowa, and Los Angeles followed the same general pattern. At the start, students were given a series of tests: knowledge tests, IQ tests, mental attitude tests, driving tests on the Drivotrainer and in real cars. Then, based on these tests, the students were divided into two groups, equal in number and ability. The first group was called the control group, the second, the experimental. Generally speaking, the studies sought to discover whether Drivotrainer instruction could be substituted for about 3 hours of costly practice driving on the road. Complete findings from all three of the research installations are not yet available, but the shape of the final picture is becoming clearer. Research is continuing in New York City. Already officials have found indications that the Drivotrainer can make important contributions in the following critical areas: sharpening driver judgment in traffic, making possible safe training in emergencies, and inculcating important attitudes for safe and expert driving. Group instruction in these areas may be given more economically and effectively on the Drivotrainer than in a regular training car, New York observes in a preliminary report of its research. In an optimistic interim report of its research, Iowa State Teachers College found that the Drivotrainer made possible very substantial reductions in on-the-road time. The report stated that the teaching effectiveness of the Drivotrainer films was unsurpassed in driver education. So successful was the use of the Drivotrainer that the Waterloo school system decided to purchase an 8-place installation of its own. The Iowa State Department of Public Safety also has recognized the value of the Drivotrainer. In cooperation with the college, it has opened in West High School in Waterloo the first of several projected driver improvement centers. The Drivotrainer is being used in this center, and it's planned to use the device in other centers as they're opened. From headquarters of the Los Angeles Board of Education came the first complete research report on the Drivotrainer. The study was conducted by the safety section of the Los Angeles school system with the advice and assistance of the evaluation and research section. Cecil G. Zahn directed the study. As supervisor of safety, Mr. Zahn has charge of the driver training program in Los Angeles. The students taking part in the study in Hollywood were divided into two equal groups, control and experimental. Students in the control group received the California State prescribed course, namely 6 hours of on-the-road instruction. The experimental students got 15 hours of Drivotrainer instruction, but only 3 hours of practice driving, just half as much as the control group. On 2 knowledge tests and on a searching road test at the end of the course, no statistically significant difference could be found between the Drivotrainer students and the control group. The Drivotrainer group was significantly better than the control group on a motion picture examination testing knowledge, skills, and attitudes. On the Siebrecht attitude scale, the Drivotrainer group showed a much greater gain in good attitudes than the control group. In view of the importance of good attitudes in the prevention of accidents, Los Angeles officials believe this superiority of the Drivotrainer students is very significant. Summing up the results of the 2 knowledge tests, the attitude test and film test, the official Los Angeles report had this to say. Table 8 shows that there was a positive change in mean test scores for both groups on all tests. It also shows a consistency in direction of difference between the 2 groups. These differences were in favor of the experimental group. In the chapter on conclusions, the report stated, results indicate that practically the same progress in driving skill and knowledge will be experienced by a student trained by either the experimental method using the Aetna Drivotrainer plus 3 hours of on-the-road time or the California State prescribed course of 6 hours. Substantial savings in per-pupil costs were cited in the Los Angeles report. These savings increased according to the size of the Drivotrainer classroom. Fully as important as cost savings are the contributions which the Drivotrainer can make towards solving the teacher shortage. Whereas 4 teachers could give behind-the-wheel instruction to 560 students in Los Angeles by the conventional car-only method, these same 4 teachers could instruct 840 students by using the Drivotrainer and giving 3 hours of on-the-road training, a 50% gain in the number of students reached. As a result of the Los Angeles research, the California Department of Public Instruction has ruled that the Drivotrainer instruction may be substituted for as much as half of the amount of practice driving required to meet the reimbursement provisions of the Stanley Act. After the Hollywood study was completed, the Drivotrainer was moved to Reseda High School. Reseda, like other new Los Angeles high schools, has a separate bungalow for its driver training facilities. This bungalow houses a 15-place Drivotrainer unit and a regular driver education classroom. Here, the Los Angeles Board works out scheduling and other administrative details in order to plan the most effective use of the Drivotrainer under actual operating conditions. A number of leading insurance companies have also recognized the Drivotrainer. They permit instruction on this device to be substituted for a substantial part of the practice driving they require before granting an automobile insurance rate discount to graduates of high school driver training courses. Creation of the Drivotrainer was undertaken by the Aetna Casualty and Surety Company as a part of its public service activities in the interest of highway safety. The company will continue its non-profit interest in the Drivotrainer, working closely with educators in order to realize the maximum potential of this economical new teaching tool. Teaching safe driving to a generation of youngsters in every high school throughout the country is a task worthy of the heart and the shoulder of all. Won't you add your voice to the swelling chorus of those who ask of each community and its schools, teach them now to drive and live.